Por primera vez, la voz de los traficantes, de manera indirecta, se estaba escuchando a través de los portones. Es una denuncia, es una expresión del pueblo, muy directa. Que en 15 minutos, tú vienes por decir, mira, quiero un rollo. Digamos, yo ayer me gustan las muchachas, ya no me cuarto, me paso por alguna parte. En 15 minutos te ganan 500. En 15 minutos. Si es camarada, $1,000. Pero es lo menos.
All right, so I just want to start with that opening sequence that you already watched to kind of establish this grounding of burritos, which we spent some time talking about Tuesday. But the various ways in which, in this opening, we see various ways in which burritos function. We see different perspectives on defining what burritos are and what they mean. So what I'd like to do, so with that in mind, is I'd like to get into your group. So I'm going to read off, just a reminder, just the groups, discussion groups that we're working in, and this is the discussion groups around which your discussion boards are formed. So I'm going to put you in these groups. I know that many of you did not post responses to the discussion board, but we're going to work through those questions anyway. So hopefully you had some preparation to do that. So these are the groups again: Anna, Taylor, Yusong, and Justin is in the group. Zach, Daniel, Stella, and Megan. Noah, Abigail, Ali, Jack, Twitty, and Emily. Chris Alba, Don, Cindy, and Maddie. June, Brady, Odysseus, and Reese. Will Adams, Ian, Chris Murray, and Jack Sorensen. Kyle, Carson, Joseph, Peyton, Nolly, Luke, Elizabeth, and Shreya. I moved a couple people around just to even out some groups. Sam, Thomas, Michael, and Haley, and Delaney, Marissa, Sophie, and Kale. So just a reminder of the group. If you need, if you're not sure who's in your group, let me know. I'll point you out. But if you get into those groups, I'd like to give you some time to discuss some questions that I posted the icons today that makes it talk. Is Zach up there with you? No. Stella and Megan and Zach and Daniel.
What's up?
Shreya, join us. Michael. Thomas here? No? Sam? Here? No? Alright, Haley? Michael and Haley, right there. Who else is looking for that group?
I am.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Is it just us two today?
Noah?
We're missing.
Abby? Abby? And
I don't know.
Jack, please.
I don't know. I don't know. I think.
Okay, I might end up doing that if we don't if we have anybody with one person.
Sydney?
I'm Dom.
Sorry. Kyle Carson, no. Joseph and Peyton. Kyle Peyton. All right, I'm going to read these again. From Anna Taylor, is she song here? No? Justin, you're here. Who doesn't? You got Anna Taylor here. Zach, Brett, Daniel, Stella, Megan, got each other. Oh, Zach, great. Noah, Abby, where do you guys go? Noah, and Emily. Who else is still looking for a group? You got your group? All right. All right, so everyone found a group. All right, look at that. We're doing great this morning. So, icon posted for today were a series of questions. I asked you to choose just even 3 of these to post a response to. And I know some did that, some may not have, it's okay. Still participate in discussion in class. So, there's a series of questions here. Rather than just defining which questions get responded to by which group, I'd like you to start with the questions that you posted. If no one in your group posted response to those questions, you can just read through these and discuss. Just choose 1 or 2 or 3 to discuss. So these questions are based on the film El Dorado, which is about the beginning of it. But in addition, well, I think actually for all the sort of broad questions that I would want to respond to here in general, but we can start with one question in general, which is, what is a burrito? Right? We talked about that on Tuesday. What is a burrito, and how is your understanding of the burrito shaped by this film and by watching the film? In addition to that, go ahead and choose in your group, work through whatever questions you want. I want to give you about 10 minutes, discuss in your group whatever questions you wish, and we'll come back to talk about this together. Remember, as we normally do with our groups, have one person in the group who volunteers to report back your group's conversation with the class. So I'll expect every group to have something to contribute in response to the question, and one person who will post as response to the discussion board. And the reason why you're groups is the discussion boards are grouped together that way, right? Post a discussion board summary of your discussion together. Does that make sense? All right, take 10 minutes.
Yeah, I posted one too. Wait, us 3 are the only people that did. That's actually.
The discussions are divided by group.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Oh, D. Okay, I was like, is it really only like? Okay. I don't feel as cool now, but that's okay.
I talked about mainly the first 2 questions and the last 2 questions in my response.
You talked about the first question. It's like the second to last question.
Yeah, I guess I was just talking about like the nature of like I don't know what question it was, I can't remember, but just like the song and especially like the drug cortidos and how it's like really prevalent, which is kind of wild. Also, just like the region of Sinaloa where he was from.
So yeah, like how it was like hard to get.
Yeah. Uh, 1, 2. Yeah, I guess that's question 5. But I don't know. I was just talking about how like especially with U.S. sanctions and like embargoes against Mexico and like the drug trades, um, and like being part of Sinaloa, which has like it's like the worst drug area. I don't know. I mean, at least from Narcos, what I watched, like that's where like everything happened in Narcos Mexico, and like how the cocaine trade blew up there, and so like it's just kind of the lifestyle to like be in that, even if you don't smuggle drugs yourself. It's like I don't know if it's necessarily cool, but that's just like the music of that area.
I assume it's because
Yeah,
or like to get by.
yeah. Like everyone's corrupt there, like cops do it, and everybody is nuts.
I thought it was interesting how they like compare the Narcos to the West Coast rap, like the similarities with identity between minority
Oh
communities.
yeah, since they could
Yeah.
have both. Yeah. It's like the point of it. It's just like telling a story. Like I think of it like poetry and stuff. And with the same style, they're like similar. That was interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then they talked about Charlie Manson and how he's like seen as kind of a legacy. So like,
Hmm.
to like to the point where this one girl she performed and like kind of girls sit on like Charlie Manson, but like they always talked about like they wear their hat a certain way,
Hmm.
and um, they would like kind of dress because he would tell stories from his life. Like please write. So
Yeah.
I guess it like showed that like hero kind of that was yeah. I think the most interesting about this, or like caught my attention the most, I guess it's not like music related, but in the they're seeing it from both like their side, like to the border, and then like the other that was like trying to help the border
Mm.
patrol,
Yeah.
and like and then they did catch like a family that was hiding there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I thought that end part was sad.
Yeah, I was
Right.
yeah, I was pretty sad. Like they and then I think like my so
And we never really found out like
yeah.
how that ended.
I was like, it's just
I rewatched it and I was like, something.
and then I just thought the credits were I'm like, I wish like it showed like how would it go? I think it was just like interesting, like hearing like their stories, like how they have to travel.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, they're very intense. Or, like a lot of people, like they have to like leave them behind. And, like they can't catch up or like whatever. Crazy.
And that's still deemed like better than the alternative, like staying.
Yeah, because like for what they say, like the government,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that people it's like not fair, and like since they see like the United States is like a wonderful place, they can
And I said like it's better to be caught over on the U.S. side than
then like yeah,
This movie or
Yeah, but I think
this doesn't come out.
I didn't talk much about the band.
Yeah, I think they drew for like one.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they talked about them for 5 minutes, and then I was just like credits. I feel like it was mentioned because they talked more about Johnny.
Now,
I also thought the conversation was really interesting because they had like they were sitting around and some of the people like took people across the border and it was like kids and they were talking about how like, they love to really get super involved in this like that was their goal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they were
16.
yeah, it was like
how you guys doing time wise? Are we done? You need another minute or two?
because you know, like,
Yeah?
it's like
Okay, we'll take another couple minutes. 2 more minutes.
it's kind of crazy how like a lot of this is not like I can imagine how it's good for I guess like people to like I did not when I was born here. But my parents like didn't they immigrated but not from like through the border. They're not from Mexico, they're from Peru. But like it was a different process. Yeah, I guess at least for me it's very that's hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Good now? Okay. Let's we don't have to work through every single one of these questions, I think it's true. Well, I want to start with let's just start with what were some of the most poignant things that came across to you as you watched the film? questions that were particularly intriguing for you or your group? Yeah, I'm happy to sort of start wherever you guys want to start with. So, what do you got?
Let's say like those things, was kind of big, the town that they're in, all where he said first units there, like I have to go to the US, otherwise I'm agree with you all where I'm at, and how the people are like, well, we have to really cross border money that we don't have to get across. But they change that money into force sources back like never cycle that can only be broken in a sense by breaking the law.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Brady. So, this issue of poverty, right? Poverty, rural society is part of this, right? Opportunity. And I mean, how does music factor in? How is music an important part of your story? Think about the sociological problem of poverty. What does that do with music? Why is that? I mean, I think you kind of addressed it a little bit, but for Magdiel, right, our protagonist, our main character in this, part of it is this sort of balance between survival, right? Like when you're in a poverty situation, you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, how you're going to pay your rent, how you're going to have enough clothes, right? So to actually try to do something like art or cultural expression or music, right, becomes really difficult to sort of find a way to that. We were talking about the same issue up here a little bit, right? And what's one thing I think is maybe helpful to put this in context is not just also it's not just a Mexican issue, right? We were just talking about there's a reason why universities like the University of Iowa put so much effort and discussion into supporting first generation students, right? Those are first generation in college. Because of the shrinking economic possibilities, particularly in rural America, right? Some of you may have that experience yourself personally or are familiar with that from family situation. I just think my parents both grew up in small, very small western Kansas farming communities. I think I mentioned this here before. They're like the community my dad grew up in doesn't even exist anymore, right? So how sort of shrinking rural towns, and when my parents went off to college, they never returned other than some summers and to visit their parents. They never returned home to those rural areas again. So migration, sort of economic situation is often a key factor in movement and migration. For Magdiel, right, music is both a way of expressing that migration, right? It's right there at the very beginning of that song, right? I've got so many horsepowers in my motorboat. I can go somewhere. I can move somewhere. And of course, he's talking about really moving drugs, right? But it's embedded in the song itself. In addition to the sort of process of composing the song and singing the song, the expression of the music is part of the driving force for migration. Right? If I can go somewhere else, people will pay attention to me. I can make it big. I might have an impact. I might make actually having a better living out of position. Right? So it's both a driving force for migration as well as the process of migration or the imagined process of migration. Other things that came up in this session. Yeah, Michael.
We talked about how interesting an actor compared so with that, like certain sections of African Americans in the United States, like how it was like rap and stories that address political and social issues about their like the drug crimes. I don't remember how many years ago the president was like never seen to address these getting kind of something to why this is what we're doing to another way to make and to make profit, especially not what we need to do. And it's kind of very similar to certain sections of that.
Yes, there's an interesting parallel and a shared history here between corridos, specifically narco corridos. We'll talk about those in a little bit more in a moment. And rap and hip hop, especially gangster rap, right? And this idea of that on one hand, these musical genres being maligned by some for promoting violence, sex, drug culture, etc., and for others being defending narco-corridos or gangster rap as merely an expressive tool of documenting life, right, at the margins, right? It's, as we talked about, and actually was mentioned, I think, by one person in the film, this is the news. This is just, we're just documenting life. This is what life is, right? So it's this interesting sort of play between, is this sort of music that that has a negative impact on culture and society by perhaps even celebrating, right, illicit and illegal activity, or is it something that is empowering for society and allowing those who are not represented in other ways to represent their experiences and to document those experiences and to have those experiences known and understood. That, yeah, great. So let me actually take this moment here. Get step out of the film for a second. Well, no, actually, let's we'll come back to that in a second. So we'll come back and talk about narco produce. What other things did we talk about? Came out. Discussion questions that you thought were particularly interesting. Chris, what did your group talk about?
Just kind of an ideal story where the kind of thing that's kind of like a live in the drug capital world for and just kind of things that you have it's not quite like everyone else that get out there. But like for him, it was either kind of runs with the drug world or sneaking across the US, which was kind of sad.
So one of the issues that we talk about is like the problem that when certain industries, so the drug industry dominates a certain region, even if you're not in the drug industry, your livelihood is dependent upon the drug industry. You're a shipbuilder, or boat builder, or mechanic that repairs engines. You're building boats, you're repairing engines that supports the drug trade. Right? There's ultimately always more, if there's some way to show you can't sort of totally disconnect. I mean, it's like living in Iowa City, you can know from the University of Iowa. You have to acknowledge on some level that the University of Iowa sort of drives whatever your economic situation is in the city, right? Because if the university were to get up and disappear, any other sector of the society is dependent upon as sort of dominant economic force, right? So therefore, even sort of musical engagement is part of that as well. Any other comments, questions, discussions? Yeah, just
we talked about basically like the stories that they have for the immigrants, like in terms of like their perspective. I think it was interesting, like hearing like how many times like they crossed or like how like some people have to like leave others behind, and then contrasting that with this like one American that was helping the border patrol, like showing like what like what happens, like what they find, and like they said like outside their backyard, and then they actually found a family as like they were like talking. Like the two different perspectives.
Yeah, from multiple perspectives, right? I mean, so any issue we can look at, we sort of see multiple perspectives, and indeed we can examine that through musical expressions in different ways. We're looking here specifically at corridos, so we're getting at a specific perspective. We could sort of flip the tables around and sort of say, hey, let's take sort of mainstream conservative country music in America, and we're going to find a different perspective on this very same issue, right? So music is going to provide these different perspectives. Sometimes, what's at least for me in this film, speaking of some of those scenes that you're just talking about with border patrol agents, is I was just surprised at my own response to, like realizing, and this is just a little bit of a side note, less having to do with music here, but really giving sort of props to the director. I thought she did a fantastic job humanizing it, and helping us remember that everyone on all sides are humans. Even if we have different perspectives, different political ideas, right? That there's a sort of human element on all sides. And I think that's important because I think music is a central way that sort of helps us also see that as well, right? It can help us tell that humanistic or human-centered perspective and what otherwise gets blown out as just political issues where the humans get lost in that. Anything else? Thanks. Good. Megan.
Talking about like Cholino.
Yeah, Cholino Sanchez.
Yeah, and like how he was like the hero that everyone from that because he represented like all of the underdogs basically. Like their side of it, like no, this is what we have to do, like I'm not the bad guy, I used to realize.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to use that because I can come back to kind of where we left off in our discussion on Tuesday, right? We were talking about the different types of corridos, and one of these types is that hero corrido, and we looked at the one textbook, Gregorio Cortez. But Cholino provides, I think, another model of this, right? Which is kind of interesting because he, of course, is a musician himself. So the musician himself, the composer himself of corridos, becomes a hero for corrido songs and for other artists, even amateur performers, right? Cholino becomes that hero, and that specific type of hero that we talked about, the outlaw, the one on the margin of society. So we see that same archetype being applied here. I mean, Gregorio Cortez, right? This was a story from 1902, 1904, somewhere around there, right? So Cholino, that's 1990s, right? So 90 years later, and we're seeing that same archetype come back and operating within corridos.